Hello again, everybody. This is Derek, and I am coming back at you with another Wargaming and Miniature video. In today's video, I'm going to be showing off some progress that I've made in my Napoleonic project. Right, I am working with some 15mm Napoleonic figures. I'm working for my own game called Marshals and Generals. So I'm building the armies required for a battle of Quatre Bras, and then from there we'll expand our armies out to do other battles, etc. Okay, so in today's video I want to show off that I've completed the Kielmanseg's brigade. Major General Friedrich von Kielmansegg has his brigade is complete with all 6 battalions. Now this is a Hanover brigade with field battalions. You know, not the Landwehr. This was a fun battalion, a fun brigade to put together, because each of the battalions are unique or had various uniforms that were unique to their own battalion. Now these guys, you'll see a lot of stovepipes. You'll see green jackets and the gray pants. But you'll also see, like, the musician has, like, this one, and that one has like a red cuff and plume. And you'll also notice that the NCOs and the officers, for all the Hanovers, actually, all the Hanover battalions, the officers had a yellow sash. Now I'm going to have to double check Kielmansegg. For some reason, I had painted Kielmansegg over a year ago, and I painted him as a regular British officer. He might be wearing a British uniform, but I'm going to go check to see if he wore the yellow sash as well, because something in the back of my mind is telling me that he might be wearing a yellow sash. But if not, we'll just leave him with the red one. Alright, so let me, and also these flags that are on the battalions all came from Fighting 15s. Now these figures here are all Old Glory figures. Okay, so let me go to the next battalion. Alright, now this is the next battalion. This is the Lunnberg battalion. Did I mention what the last battalion was? It was Grubenhagen. I don't think I mentioned that, but that was the Grubenhagen battalion, and this is the Lunnberg battalion. And they have something a little special where their officers are wearing like a blue pants, but they're still in the green jackets. And you'll notice that sporadically throughout the unit, you'll see some figures with green pants as well. That was because they were still in the process of transitioning from one uniform to another. So there's some gray pants and some green pants. And again, the flags were from Fighting 15. I strongly recommend them for the Allies. Not so much the French. The French flags, I'm using GMB, because I think they make excellent French flags. Again, these are all Old Glory figures. And with all these battalions, the reason why I'm showing them off is, well, because I've completed them. I've either painted them or I've rebased them. These guys are using the new Belgique Shakos, except for some NCOs some have the stovepipes, but the majority of them are the Belgic Shakos. But I've rebased them using my Marshals and Generals basing, and I've textured and flocked the base with my new basing method, which, if you didn't know already, I can tell you it is, I put down a medium brown Vallejo texture paste, and then when that dries, I cover it with mainly about, I don't know, 90% with Elmer's glue, and then I sprinkle some brown ballast on there in a couple of spots. And then what I'll do is I will use my Knock 2.5 millimeter static grass, the spring meadow, over the entire thing. And so I think it looks really, really good that way. All right, let me get the next battalion. Okay, this next battalion is the Auster Road Field Battalion, or sometimes called the 1st Duke of York's Battalion. You'll notice this is a mix of minifig and Old Glory. The minifigs are most of the guys just standing in the marching, and then the ones in the front rank are probably Old Glory with a few minifigs thrown in. Yeah, and you'll also notice the packs. They vary. They have some of the British packs, and they still have some of the old French-issued packs. Because the Hanover troops used to fight for France. There we go. And they're slowly transitioning into a new, more allied uniform. And this, again, flag is from Fighting 15s. It's the Auster Road, or the 1st Duke of York's battalions. We've got some skirmisher types over here, but it's primarily just green and gray pants. That's kind of this unit right here is kind of the standard Hanover unit. And I noticed that like Warlord Games, I'm gonna call them out on this. It's not a negative. It's just a observation that, like, Warlord Games with their black powder, they sell a box of Hanover infantry, right? Which are technically their British infantry molds, but they just change the heads out. And so instead of Shakos, they have soft caps. And that's the only difference in the molds of the plastics for Warlord. But my point is that they emphasize the red coat, like saying that it implies that all the Hanovers are wearing red jackets or whatever, and that's actually an inaccuracy. Some of them did, yes, but the majority of them actually had green jackets. All right, so let's show you the next battalion. And speaking of the devil, these guys are all wearing red jackets. This is the Verden battalion. They actually were equipped as the British. So basically this looks almost identical to a British battalion, with your elite company and the regular, like, red and white plumes and stuff like that. Even though the officers are wearing yellow sashes, everything other than that is exactly the same as a British unit. And Now, when I was talking about the Warlord games, emphasizing the red jackets, well, it is true that the Landwehr did have a lot of red jackets, so that might be what they were focusing. All right, let me get out the next battalion. All right, now this is probably one of my favorite battalions. It's the Breman battalion, where you can see it's actually a mixed battalion. It has a lot of red coats, but it still has the classical green coat, some of their units in green coats. And they are also wearing these deep blue pants. So the deep blue with the red coat really has a kind of a really cool look to it, I think. Now you'll see that other than that, they're still wearing the stovepipes, and yeah, again, the flag is, these are all Old Glory figures, and Fighting 15 is the flag, and it's the new basing style. And I think it looks really good. Now, the command stands, I kind of did a little mixture, like one musician's in red and one musician's in green, and then the standard bearers in green as well. I probably could have did that with the officers as well. I probably could have did a green and a red officer, but from what I could tell, the officers were one of the first ones to get their new uniforms, so I just left them with red. And this is Breman, the Breman battalion. All right, next battalion. All right, this is the final battalion out of this brigade. These guys are actually the Jaegers. They have what's called a do they call it a Jaeger Corps? I think they do. Field Jaeger Corps, I think is what they call them. It's a couple of companies, really, is all it is. Well, actually, it's a battalion of maybe 4 companies, but they're dressed in the classic, a lot like 95th Rifles. Right, they got the stovepipe, but they also have the short muskets, or I guess they're rifled muskets. Yeah, these guys. This is a smaller battalion. You can see it's only 4 bases. I didn't bother putting a standard with them, even though I assembled this battalion before I had gotten the flag sheet, and on the flag sheet there is a Jaeger Field Battalion flag. I could probably scratch build a standard or something and just stick it in the ground, and then have like a wire, and then having the standard just flying. That might be nice, but or I can make a 5th stand with a standard bearer, but I decided I didn't want to bother with any of that. Usually I would think that the Jaegers wouldn't be flying a flag anyway, even though I do love my standards, and if I had a standard for a battalion, I'll almost always put a standard bearer in the unit, just for spectacle on the tabletop. Now, these guys, even though they're Jaegers, they fought as a battalion, so I did not model them as like in skirmish with the skirmish tiny bases. That's only for tiny units, not units that fought as battalions. All right, well, so that was the last battalion of the 6th Battalion Brigade of Kielmansegg. And I've got other things that I want to talk to you about, so let me just go ahead and put this away. As part of my Napoleonic project, my rules are going to be using a declared charge technique or rule, where you're going to declare your charges before any units actually move. And to mark those, I ordered some charge markers from Litco. They're arrows that have the word charge on them. It's kind of subtle, and it doesn't really matter. But you would just put the marker down on the table, pointing at the unit that your unit is going to charge. And I got they come in packs of 10, so I'm not sure exactly how many I'm going to need. Now I can always create my own. I was considering taking a base like this and then just writing on it, with an arrow, and then you could just lay the base down. I could always paint it or color it or, make it fancy or whatever. But I decided just to go ahead and get these plastic charge tokens, and I got blue and red specifically for a set for each player, like the French player and the British player. But there's no reason why you can't share. Like if the Allies or the British need to do 11 charges, they could get the 11th one from the French, or something like that. But I don't think. Now this is going to come out with playtesting the battle. I don't think there's going to be 10 charges per side in any one turn. But you never know. There might be, and that's why I'm going to have to playtest it. But I only got one pack of each. I can always get another pack later. Or, again, make my own. Okay, now while I'm packing these up, let me just tell you, I did start working on a terrain board for Quatre Bras. I cut out a bunch of styrofoam into 1 foot squares, and I've got enough to cover a 4x6 table, but I don't have them cut down, textured. I don't have them cut down to like slopes or hills or roads, and I also don't have them, of course, I don't have them grassed or textured. I'm debating whether or not I want to use my paper grass to cover certain areas, or if I want to just flock, using glue and sprinkle flock on the bases. I think what I'm going to do is use the paper, cut it down into small chunks, like maybe 6-inch sections, not necessarily square, maybe triangles, maybe rectangles, whatever, but approximately 6 inches, and then glue them on to the areas of Quatre Bras that might have like fields or just areas. And then if there's any gaps between these fields, I could just use texture paste for dirt, and then also maybe put some clump foliage or some just a little bit of static grass or something to mind the gaps, basically. So it'll be a mixture of the paper and the glue from the flock. But I'm definitely, absolutely, for sure, without a shadow of a doubt, I'm going to do the woods, wherever the woods are on, and there's only like 3 patches of woods. There's the one big Bazoo woods, and there's 2 smaller woods on the right side. I'm going to definitely cover those with paper to represent the wood line, and then it'll make it very distinct where those where that wood line is, so that when your units go up to the woods, you'll know exactly if or if not they're in the woods. I am going to put not just flatness, right? It's going to have hills and rolling textures and stuff like that, but I'm also going to put like tufts and clump foliage and stuff like that over the entire map, except where the trees are at. And so it's gonna be alive. The whole map is gonna be alive. And then I'm also gonna use probably a technique where I'm gonna put an edge of a field right up to the edge of a tile, and then another color of field on the other side of the tile to disguise the gap between the two tiles, right? And then the roads are going to have like maybe some foliage along the outer edge of the roads. Just remember, this is something that some modelers don't remember or don't really realize, that you don't get... Okay, so on some roads, I'm going to use these figures just to kind of show what I'm talking about. You'll have a road on your map, right? You'll have this road, and a lot of modelers, what they'll do is they'll put a lot of grass along the outer edge so that it blends with the tile, right? Which, perfectly fine. I plan to do that. But some modelers will put like a sporadic line of grass down the center. Now, that is actually a modern phenomenon. That did not happen in the horse and buggy era. Roads did not have grass growing down the center. That only appeared when horses stopped being the primary mode of transport. When cars and automobiles appeared, now you didn't have a horse pulling the wagon. You only had the wheels, right? And so grass was able to survive and grow in the middle. So if you're making a Napoleonic map, do not put grass down the center of your roads. If you're doing medieval or anything like that, do not put grass down the center of your roads. Only do that World War I, World War II, and on. Then your dirt roads could have grass down the center. Just a little heads up. Okay, continuing on with my Napoleonic project update, I do want to let you know that I did get in my minifig order. And in my minifig, I've got some volunteers, Brunswick volunteers, right? Or is it NASA? NASA volunteers. And I already have a NASA volunteer battalion created, but the NASA battalion that I have painted and created were just regular NASA infantry, and I basically used them as an emergency. I just took like 8 of those figures and made a couple of skirmish bases, which technically was not correct, or the uniforms were... There are some slight differences. I mean, it's fine, but they're not skirmishers. They're just standing there marching. And that didn't make me... I didn't feel like it was indicative of a skirmish unit. So I went ahead and got some standing and kneeling NASA skirmishers from minifigs. And I also got some NASA grenadiers. So these grenadiers are actually going to have like the Busby bearskin style caps, But there's also some volunteers. I must have got, I must have ordered too many. I don't know what happened there. And then right here we got Brunswick Hussars. As you know, my Brunswick Hussars were short a few figures to make it an actual 6-base unit. They're currently 6 bases, or actually they're currently 8 bases with 2 figures each, right? But I'm transitioning to 6 bases with 3 figures each. So what is 2 times 8, right? That's 16 figures. That's what I currently have and have painted, which is actually 2 bags of, it was 2 Old Glory bags, I do believe. And then now if I went with 3 figures per base and I needed 6 of them, I needed 18. So I was actually short 2 figures. And these guys come in a pack of 3 or 4. Looks like 4. So I got 4 Hussars. I'm going to paint 2 of them. I'm going to have 2 extras. You know, I don't know if I'll just hold on to them. Never know when I might need them in the future. But there's a couple of other figures here, bags that I thought was kind of unique, or that I was going to need. These are just horses, just plain horses. And these are limber horses, so these will probably all have, yeah, you can actually see they've got like a limber harness on them. But yeah, these are limber horses, and I ordered 2 packs of these, so there's probably like 12 horses in here. And that's primarily for my, I have a bunch of limbers that don't have any horses, and so I got these to use with those limbers that I already have. And finally, I've been kind of eyeballing my rocket artillery, and this is a rocket caisson and a rocket limber, right? So there's a limber and a rocket, and there's no horses. So well, there's the horses. But basically I'll have a special limber when I eventually do the rockets. Now the rockets aren't going to be done until I start working on Waterloo, because they were not at Quatre Bras. But I got them ahead of time anyway. I just said what the hell. So the minifig order came in about 3.5 weeks after I ordered it. It has been exactly 4 weeks since my Old Glory order. I'm still waiting for that. I contacted them about fixing my account because I can't log in and I can't reset my password or anything like that. And that was a couple of weeks ago that I contacted them. They replied saying they would look into it, but then I haven't heard anything back. But then again, I haven't tried logging in, so maybe it's fixed. We'll go figure that out. Okay, so just as a overview for the Napoleonic project, I have the whole brigade done of Kielmansegg. He's finished. I have some new minifig orders. I've got my charge tokens. I'm working on the tiles for the battlefield, and I still have other units that I need to work on, of course, right? So as I get them done, as I get brigades done, we'll show off entire brigades just to kind of, and I have a couple of battalions in the works right now, the 72nd and the 108th. As soon as I get those 2 done, then a whole nother brigade will be finished. So that's kind of the next figures I'm working on. as well as the tiles. I think I'm going to work on some tiles tomorrow, maybe live on camera. So if you're interested, check that out. All right, guys, thanks for coming out and checking that out, and I'll catch you in the next video.